You might not know this, but if someone asked you which Marvel Studios movie was the most expensive to produce, chances are you'd immediately think of Avengers. Endgame or Avengers, Infinity War. And that makes sense. These were massive blockbusters with enormous casts, mind-blowing visual effects, and epic storytelling that brought the entire Marvel saga to a climax. But here's the twist. The most expensive Marvel movie ever made isn't Endgame or Infinity War. It's actually Avengers. Age of Ultron, the second installment in the Avengers series, released back in 2015. According to industry reports, Marvel shelled out a jaw-dropping $365 million to produce Age of Ultron. That's even more than the $356 million reportedly spent on Endgame. And what's truly surprising is that Age of Ultron doesn't even seem as big or as ambitious as the final chapters of the Infinity Saga. So what made this movie so ridiculously expensive? Well, a lot of it came down to the complexity of the production itself. Unlike most Marvel films that are shot primarily in the US, Age of Ultron was filmed in multiple countries around the world, including South Africa, South Korea, Italy, and the United Kingdom. The logistics of moving massive film crews, equipment, and sets across continents added significantly to the cost. Then there's the visual effects. Age of Ultron relied heavily on CGI, not just for the creation of the villain Ultron, but for the large-scale action sequences like the explosive battles in Sokovia. These VFX-heavy scenes take hundreds, sometimes thousands, of hours to create and polish, all of which translates to more money. Another key factor? The rising salaries of Marvel's superstar cast. By 2015, actors like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, and Chris Hemsworth were no longer just big names, they were global icons. Their paychecks had skyrocketed since the first Avengers film, and their contracts now demanded top-dollar compensation. When you adjust for inflation, the production cost of Age of Ultron climbs to an estimated $469 million, placing it comfortably among the top 5 most expensive films ever made in Hollywood history. And the irony? Despite all that money, Age of Ultron isn't even considered one of the best Marvel movies. While it certainly pushed the MCU storyline forward, many fans view it as one of the weaker entries in the Avengers saga, lacking the emotional weight of Endgame or the freshness of the original Avengers. Still, the lesson here is clear. Just because a movie looks the biggest on screen doesn't mean it costs the most to make. Sometimes, the real money is spent behind the scenes, on international shoots, high-end CGI, complex logistics, and megastar salaries. And Avengers, Age of Ultron is the perfect example of that. A film that didn't feel like the most epic, but turned out to be one of Marvel's biggest bets.